Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, GreenBayPackers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack Go.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Quick little show for you guys and gals this afternoon is we're going to get ready to do Chalk Talk this evening, 6 p.m. Central. We'll go live for PTA Live, and we will break down the tape from that win over the Minnesota Vikings. But, man, things are already ramping up for the Thursday showdown, Thanksgiving Day, Packers-Lions. NFC North implications on the line. As you can see, I mean, the Bears are leading the North right now by a half a game over the Packers at 8-3. Packers sitting at 7-3-1. The Lions sitting at 7-4. Vikings sinking out of sight. A lot of notoriety on the line here in this ball game. In this NFC North matchup between the Packers and the Lions. I'm really excited to dive into it. We had a couple of people talking about it earlier today. I know Pat McAfee and Dan Orlovsky were talking specifically about the Detroit Lions. We'll get Dan Orlovsky's take on the Lions and their offensive line situation. We'll also go around social media real quick and just kind of see what everybody's saying about this matchup. Like I said, that's got a lot of playoff implications on the line. Before we get into it, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your afternoon. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on the daily. So make sure you click that bell icon and hit sub so you're notified every time we do go live here in the future, like tonight, 6 p.m. Central for our Chalk Talk edition where we break down the 16 most important plays from that win over the Vikings. Let's waste no time. Let's get into this clip real quick. Gang, I'm really excited to get everybody's take on this. This was Dan Orlovsky on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, and he was specifically just talking about the Detroit Lions. And I want you to listen to the concern he has for the Detroit Lions because I think this could play a huge role in this Packers versus Lions matchup on Thanksgiving Day. Again, this is Dan Orlovsky and Pat McAfee talking on the Pat McAfee show. Listen, if you got kids in the room, I don't know if there's any bad language or not. I know these guys can get colorful, so just be prepared for that. But again, let's see what they have to say about the Detroit Lions going into this matchup against the Green Bay Packers.
Good news for Caleb on the turnover, potentially stopping unless they completely go to shite, which it doesn't look like. The Lions with Dan Campbell, we assume, are going to be good in this entirety. The Packers, we assume, are going to be
concerned.
What's that?
Lions are concerning. Their offensive line's not good enough right now. Not good enough.
No.
Yeah, no.
Going back to same old Lions?
Are you saying this year or just like in general, you don't know if they're going to be able to find it again? Is it because Ben Johnson was kind of maybe covering up for their offensive line, or is it Noel Ragnow is maybe the big problem with the Detroit Lions offensive line? Is it fixable, or is that just you got to deal with it this season type thing?
Yeah, I mean, in the interior of their offensive line is a concern. It's not good enough. They will not win a Super Bowl with the interior of their offensive line playing this way.
Another year, man.
Ragnow's a concern. Yeah, Ragnow's starting to rear its ugly head here. This is what I would say is you have a quarterback that when you protect him, he could throw with anybody. But now the protection has fallen off. I would tell you, I have no idea what the numbers and statistics and analytics. It looks like a bottom 5, bottom 7 pass protecting offensive line.
What?
And no Laporta. Like when Jared got pressured, it was Laporta. Where's Laporta? Where's Laporta? No Laporta with a bad pass protecting offensive line. As much as it kills me to say, I just don't see it for Detroit.
So there you go. Obviously, he's talking specifically about the pass protection. Now, listen, they ran for a boatload of yards the other day against the Giants. I think I want to say they had a running back that had over 200 yards rushing, damn near 300 yards, if not over 300 yards of all-purpose yards there in Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's something you got to keep your eye on for sure. Again, I think this game is going to be really, really close, and I'll explain why here on the back half of this episode here, this quick video, where we'll show you our updated rankings, our PTA rankings, and kind of give you an idea of where each team sits. I do think the Lions should be slight favorites, but what Dano talks about there, if you can stop their run, and you can get pressure in the middle of that offensive line, which, by the way, we did that against Ryan Kelly, one of the better centers in the game. last week, or just a few days ago, I should say, against the Minnesota Vikings. So, and what's cool is you're doing it with 4-man pressures, right? You're showing a 3-man front, mock it, Joker 1, blitzing that A gap and just running right through the middle of that defense. You do that against Jared Goff, boy, oh boy, things could get interesting. So again, it starts up front with stopping the run first and foremost. Let's go to Pack Daddy Ryan Slip over there from Packernet Podcast on Twitter. He pointed out something that was really, really, it caught my attention quick. He said, teams want to run against the Packers. The Packers want to force teams to pass. The Lions are 7-0 when they run for 100 yards or more. The Lions are 0-4 when they run for less than 100 yards. Packers are 6-0 when holding teams to 95 rushing yards or less. All right. The Packers are 1-3-1 when opponents rush for more than 95 yards. The path to victory for both teams could not be any clearer. And obviously what he's pointing to here, gang, you got to stop the run. The Lions are going to want to establish the run. The Packers are going to want to stop the run. And it's going to come down to how effective can you be at stopping their running game without Laporta. Now, last week they didn't have Laporta, and they ran the ball pretty well. But keep in mind, the Giants had one of, if not the worst run defenses in the league last I checked, right? So, again, the Packers run defense much different. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to pull it off to the side here. I won't put it on the screen. Let's talk about how that matchup looks here in terms of run defense. So run defense, we'll go opponent yards per rush attempt. Green Bay is tied for 5th best in the league at the moment, only allowing 3.9 yards per carry. Again, the Giants dead last, allowing 5.9 yards per carry. And some people say, well, that number's inflated because of last week. No, they were dead last when we played them that week. So they just continue to get worse at stopping the run. So again, it doesn't mean you should turn your back to the Lions running game. Obviously, they could still get that thing going. And you're kind of, as much as we look at the numbers and go, man, Green Bay's run defense is really, really good. It also, you could see the flip of the coin where you could say, okay, they're due for a bad game too, right? That could be the case as well. So you just got to kind of keep that stuff in mind. So again, I think Ryan's spot on here. You got to, first and foremost, the game plan's got to be stop the Detroit Lions run, make Jared Goff beat you in the air. Now they can do that with some of those weapons. However, you seen last week, and I know they have a bad quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, but you went up against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, right? So Justin Jefferson, I feel like, is somewhat comparable to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Many people would say J.J. is way better than Amon-Ra St. Brown, but kind of put them in the same, they're very, very, very good wide receivers, right? So on the flip side, who's going to pick up the slack on the other side for the Jordan Addison? Well, they had Hawkinson last week. That wasn't a factor. Again, J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. They're going to be without Laporta, there being obviously the Detroit Lions. Now, another factor that comes into play is the quarterback play for the Green Bay Packers, right? And listen, let's be honest about this. As Tyler Brook, I think it's Tyler Brook, over on X, tweeted this out. Jordan Love has been lights out on Thanksgiving game. In 2 Thanksgiving games, he's 2-0, 43 of 60, with a 71.7% completion percentage, 542 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 127.2 passer rating. One of those 2 games was against the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Very, very similar situation, right? So when you look at that, and I think last year, what was it on Thanksgiving? It was Miami, right? Miami Dolphins at LambeauField, and that's where Jordan finally got his turkey leg, obviously. So Jordan's been lights out on Thanksgiving. Here's the catch, though. Jordan's banged up, right? You got the partially separated shoulder, an AC joint, whatever you want to call it. Could that play a role in us not being able to pass as much as we would want to? Now, when we look at the Detroit Lions defense, pretty solid defense here. I'll keep it off screen. Let's look at their passing defense real quick. See if it's enticing for us to throw the ball against them. Detroit is currently sitting tied for 15th in yards per pass attempt in passing defense. So they're 15th in pass defense. And when we go yards per rush attempt allowed on defense, they're second best in actually, no, that's on offense. I apologize. Let me pull this up here. Rush defense, yards per rush attempt allowed, Detroit is tied for 5th best. So you've got 2 of the best running defenses in the league. However, with Detroit's pass defense, they're somewhat mediocre, ranking 15th. And when it comes to Green Bay's pass defense, they're second, but actually they're tied for 1st best with Houston, only 5.4 yards per pass attempt allowed. So again, the strength of the Packers' run defense and passing defense is really, really strong. So go out there and play your game. Don't try to do anything. Don't try to manipulate Jared Goff and try to do anything cute. Keep doing what you're doing in that regard. Show your cover 6 looks. Man, Jeff Hafley got wild against Minnesota. We're going to show it on Chalk Talk tonight. You're talking about Devontae Wyatt standing up at 315 pounds, however much he weighs now, as an outside linebacker, with Kingsley Enagbare taking his place at 3-tech on this particular snap. And then on that play, Devontae Wyatt rushes from the outside linebacker position. Kingsley Enagbare drops back in a hook curl, essentially. So it's somewhat of a fire zone blitz, although it wasn't technically a blitz because you only brung 4 rushers and you still hit home with a 5th-round pick and Warren Brinson, 5th or 6th-round pick, wherever he was taken. So keep doing what you're doing on defense. A little more emphasis on the run, seeing what they did last week. But again, it was against a bad pass defense. And when you look at how their defense lays out here, don't be afraid to throw the football if Jordan Love's completely healthy. I have a hard time believing J Love is going to be 100% for this game. I don't know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about the PTA power rankings of where these 2 teams sit currently. We've got everything up to date now. You can check this out over in our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. It's the best way to support what we do here at PTA. And what I do is just go through and listen, this isn't my personal opinion. This is just data, strictly data driven. Okay. Here are the components all evenly weighted: winning percentage, offensive points per play, defensive points per play, offensive yards per play, defensive yards per play allowed, and turnover margin. That's how this lines up. Okay. And that gets you the final grade. So sort it out in order. This is how everything ranks here. Okay. In terms of the PTA power rankings. Number 1, the Rams. Number 2, the Colts. Number 3, the Detroit Lions. People are going, Clayton, what the hell are you talking about? They've got the seventh best winning percentage, right? Again, we take a lot of things into consideration here. Offensive points per play, they're 3rd in the league. Defensive points per play, they're 12th. So they're definitely more of an offensive team than a defensive team. Offensive yards, that's points per play. They're 3rd best scoring. Defensive points per play, they're 12th best scoring, okay? Yards per play on offense, they're 3rd. Defensive yards per play allowed, they're 7th. So you're going, okay, they got the 7th best defense in terms of yards per play, but they're 12th best in scoring. Probably a red zone deficiency there, right? So Packers need to really press into scoring once they get into the red zone, no doubt about it. Their turnover differential, 7th best in the league, guys. That's huge. That's huge. So that gives them a score of 6.5, low number wins in our rankings here, okay? So Green Bay is sitting in the number 5 spot. Why? Offensive points per play, they're 12th best. Defensive points per play, they're 4th best. So scoring offense, 12th. Scoring defense, 4th. Yards per play on offense, they're 12th. Yards per play on defense, check this out, 2nd best in the league. They get the 4th best scoring defense, 2nd best yards per play defense. And we just pointed out the best run defense or the best pass defense in the league, tied for the 1st best pass defense. Turnover margin, 9th. That gives them a score 7.3. So if I was creating a line for this, it would be a 0.5 point line for me, plus the home field advantage for Detroit. So I would kind of look at this like the Detroit Lions are 2-point favorites is how I would look at this. Now, I don't put as much stock personally into home field advantage, but the gambling community does. And you've always got to respect that. There's a reason they are so accurate. Got a number here for you guys. You know how every week when we're looking at the line, it's not to give gambling advice. It's not what we do in this particular program. But what we do when we look at the gambling numbers, the spread, we focus on the money. Where's the public at? If it's heavily in favor of if the public is heavily in favor of a team, specifically against the spread, pretty good indicator you might want to go in the opposite direction, right? So last week, if these numbers still held true after Monday Night Football, the public was 2-6-1 against the spread, and that was when 60% of the public was on one side of the spread. They went 2-6-1. So that's, again, just to kind of show you, we could be one of those 2 games that the public could win if they're heavily favored, right? Or if the public, the majority of the money is on said team. But that's the reason I always mention that. It's just something, it's not a deciding factor. It's just another piece of the equation, right? Another piece of the puzzle you can put into place to get a global perspective on, all right, how does this game truly look, right? So with that being said, Biz19A said, wait, your takes aren't supposed to be used for bets? That explains my losses. There you go, right? Now, so good to see you, Mitchell's mommy. Thanks for swinging through. So that's how they rank. Again, Detroit 3rd, Green Bay 5th, and the difference is 6.5 to 7.3 low number wins. it's gonna be a hell of a ball game, guys. I really believe that. And listen, both teams are banged up. We're both without our starting tight end. There's injuries across the board. Hopefully, we're getting Jaden Reed back. Hopefully, JoshJacobs will be ready to go. Hopefully, LVM will be a little bit healthier as well. You got several players that are looking to come back for the Packers. That you kind of earmark this game this week on Thanksgiving to go, hey, let's get our dogs out there on the field if possible. Now, let's cross-check this line and see what PFF and the market has this line at early on, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how they're seeing it. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's probably about as good as we can do. So looky here. 2.5-point favorites for the Detroit Lions. What did I just say, 2 points? So I've got a little bit closer. Now, here's what's cool. Look at PFF's projection, 1.7. They've got it even closer than I do. So they seem to think the home field advantage won't matter as much either. Now, when you look at the money, it's the thing you got to be worried about. 62% of the money, the overall cash, not the tickets, only 47% of the tickets, but I like to focus on the cash. 62% of the money, the cash, is on Green Bay plus 2.5. All right, so that means 60% of the public is on Green Bay plus 2.5, right? Now, when you go to the money line, however, look at this. 73% of the public is on the Lions to win this game. I like that number. Again, anything above 60%, they went 2-6-1 against the spread. But also when you throw the money line in there, you're seeing that get closer to 75% on the public. I like the way this is looking. That 62 is much closer to 60%, that key number we're talking about, as opposed to that 73. So I think it's going to come down to a one-score game unless something goes crazy awry for either team. I'm excited to watch this one, man. Sit down with a turkey leg on the plate, cranberry sauce out of the can. I don't want to hear anything else. And just enjoy this matchup. It's going to be a lot of playoff implications on the line. We talked about the playoff machine yesterday. We kind of dove into some of that and gave you guys an idea of what really, man, if the Lions lose this game to the Packers, it's going to be an uphill battle for them to get back into the playoffs, right? I mean, it's just you've almost got to win out the rest of the way is essentially what it comes down to. So this is going to be a fun one to watch. I want to know from you guys in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you're watching this video back later, anybody in the live chat, I'll go through and read them as soon as this show's over. I got to run so I can finish getting chalk talk together for everyone else. We may have to go live again when we get injury information here any second if it isn't dropping while I'm live right now. But let us know in the comments what you think. Packers, Lions. Do you agree with what Dan Orlovsky said on the Pat McAfee show? Do you think the Lions are so banged up front, they're not going to be able to pass protect for Jared Goff after what the Packers pass rush did to J.J. McCarthy and a much healthier offensive line? They had their starting five out there, to the best of my knowledge, in that matchup on Sunday against the PackersVikings. So let us know in the comments what you think. How do you feel about that 2.5 point market line? How do you feel about our line, our rankings? We want to hear from you. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're notified here in the future. Everybody smash that like button for me if you don't mind. It helps the channel more than you know. We'll definitely be back 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live to do Chalk Talk, breaking down the 16 most important plays from the Packers win over the Vikings. We may see you before then if we get any kind of crazy breaking news with the injury report. So, again, appreciate everybody jumping in here. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack Go.
Here we go. We're out.
Bye, guys.